Well, hello again, and this is week 2 of our August online program for the alumni of the Sunshine Coast Health Center here in Powell River, British Columbia. And this month's topic for August, is on the idea that spirituality equals finding meaning and purpose in life. And one of the most famous examples of this, which we talked a bit about last week, was Victor Frankl. And Victor Frankl had this very practical way that he suggested that you figure out how to live a meaningful life. And this was what he said. Okay, there are 3 things you got to do. First thing you got to do is get the right attitude. And he suggested a positive attitude is the key here. So for example, you could walk, if you remember, here's a good example. Remember your time here at Sunshine Coast? There's a lot of irritating things going on, right? People not showing up to group, people not doing their chores, all of these incredibly little things that for some of you in the community meetings, right, pulling your hair out, and, oh Jesus, this, that, and the other thing. But on the other hand, isn't it remarkable that you could get a bunch of people together from all different walks of life, different backgrounds, and that they could cooperate and work with each other to help each other? So you got sort of these 2 sides happening, right? You got all the irritating stuff, and then you got the really remarkable stuff. And there's no scientific reason why you should remember one or the other, but one of the keys is like, what do you remember? What did you take from it? Did you remember the remarkable things that happened or the irritating? So if you remember the irritating, Victor Frankl would say you had a negative attitude. If you remembered the remarkable stuff, Victor Frankl would say you have the right attitude. So attitude is number 1. But in addition to attitude, Frankl always said you have to experience life, okay? There's a whole big world out there, and your job is to experience as much of it as possible. So this is why we encourage you to broaden your horizons, to start actually paying attention to things, right? And some of the examples, if you were here in the last year, you may remember some of these examples. A child's smile, right? If you're a dad and you're looking at a child's smile, that's a remarkable experience. Or if you listened at the center here, some of the musicians who are playing music, right? And appreciated their abilities with the guitar or piano or whatever. Or if you've ever listened at an AA meeting to someone's story, right? So this is something you're experiencing, right? You were not the person telling the story. You were not the child smiling. You were not the person with the guitar or on the piano, right? But you got something from that, some fulfillment. So the second point, so we got attitude. Second point is experience the world. Third thing is you have to give something to the world, okay? So you have to do something, give some contribution to the world. And as we pointed out, if you can cure cancer, that's great. If you can play hockey at an NHL level, that's great. I mean, all that's great, if you can do it. But for most of us, it becomes a matter of, being a good father, being a good partner, being a good neighbor, being a good citizen, being a good resident of your community, things like that, right? And this is giving something back to the world. So these 3 things, according to Frankl, will help you find meaning and purpose in your life. And as I pointed out to some of the groups I ran in the closing parts, if you remember back, and I would ask some of the guys who were leaving, I'd say, did you get something from the other fellows in the group? And they would generally say yes. And then I would ask the other group members if they got anything by listening to you, because you were in the group. And generally they would say yes. And then I would ask the person leaving, well, how are you feeling? You feeling better? And inevitably they would say yes. And so according to Victor Frankl, the reason you're feeling better is not so much because you put on 20 pounds, right? Or you got a good night's sleep. No, the reason you're feeling better is because you're beginning this process of living a meaningful life, because you've developed the right attitude, you've got some experience of the other members in the group, and you've given something to the group. I mean, again, something to think about. And as always, the online programs there can fill it out. And we'll be back next week.